Oh, this is interesting. So they doing a ceasefire. All right, so I think that's dope. Let's hear some of the details in here. Let's see what Laura Ingram is talking about.
I'm Laura Ingram, my angle in moments, but first, tonight we begin with major breaking news. It's a development that few thought was possible even a few days ago. But with President Trump in charge, we've seen time and time again, the so-called experts are proven wrong. President Trump says Israel and Iran have agreed to a full ceasefire taking effect in just a few hours. In a Truth Social post in the last hour.
And I didn't think that this was going to happen as soon as it did, because we just had like Iran threatening to attack United States bases. So I didn't expect this to happen like as fast as it did. So I don't know what the talks was behind the scenes. She's going to, lay out some details, and then we'll end up hearing what JD Vance has got to say about it. But hey, man, ceasefire is good. No diss to Iran. Shout out to everybody.
The president.
And I see, what's her name, Candace Owens. She's still going in on Donald Trump. So we'll end up seeing a little bit of that too. Shout out to her.
It wrote, "Congratulations to everyone. There will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran would have wound down."
Yeah, so this is going to take 6 hours. So they're still going to be, I guess, going at it for another 6 hours. So, you know what, Iran, they had to probably think about this, because Russia's busy during the Ukraine situation, and they would really be on their own to go against America and Israel at the same time. Like that would be dangerous. And that's before you even get into like the people that we have, cooperation with, that help us. So like they avoided a big catastrophe. So anytime that there's not going to be a huge loss of life is good. If they can stop this, good.
And completed their in-progress final missions. But
I wish it was immediate and not, take place in 6 hours. I wish it was an immediate ceasefire. Like, can't they just get on the phone with the generals of their, respective countries, whatever, and say, let's just stop this? Like, that would be nice.
12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. On that assumption that everything works out as it should, which it will, I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. Here with me now is Bret Baier, chief political anchor. And
shout out to Bret Baier. He be getting exclusives, and he got an exclusive with JD Vance. We're going to watch that in a minute.
Report anchor, executive editor there as well. Bret, you were on the air. We were all watching with Vice President Vance when Trump's Truth Social post landed. So that was in and of itself kind of hilarious. But do we have details about how this all came together in the last hour?
Well, Laura, good evening. It really was something. I'll just give you the behind the scenes. Trey Yanks was in the middle of wrapping up his report from Tel Aviv, and the producer got in my ear saying, Trump Truth Social coming in the email right now. And I looked down, the vice president's right here on set with me, and as I look down to read it, his staff comes in with an iPhone so he can read the Truth Social as it's coming in. And Trey Yanks wraps up his live report. I thank him. I introduce the vice president, and obviously start with what we just heard and saw. And he said he had heard about it, talked about it, hadn't seen the final version, and that's what he was reacting to. Since then, we've learned that Qatar was the intermediary, and that Iran officials are now saying they did, in fact, authorize Qatar to negotiate on their behalf, at least according to Reuters and other wire services.
Yo, I know the left-wing media is mad right now, bro, because they were just like trying to go on, Trump said this and that, and then he's attacking Iran, and, he's becoming a war president and all that, and then now there's a ceasefire. They are gonna be mad, bro. Like, shout out to Trump, bro. Like, I don't know. Hey, I think Trump understood, like, we don't want no more war. Like, Candace Owens has been going crazy. Hodge Twins is kind of like starting to turn a little bit. And like a lot of people in like the MAGA movement do not want a war. That's not what we voted for him for. Benjamin Netanyahu's dragging America into a war. You know, so it's just like, I think he understands his base does not want this. And so maybe he, you know, helped them with negotiations or whatever behind the scenes. We'll end up finding out. But hey, it is what it is. We don't want no war. We don't want to make no oligarchs richer. You know, all these warlords richer at the expense of people losing their lives. We don't want anything like that. So if they can come into some sort of agreement, cool. And I think a lot of this is Benjamin Netanyahu. He kind of wants to continue to reign over Israel. And you know, every time that there's a war or a conflict like that going on, what happens? Martial law. And you can't get rid of the person that's in power. So, you know, to me, I feel like Benjamin Netanyahu just want to continue to keep power. But you ain't about to keep dragging us and your conflicts. Like, I'm sick of that dude, bro.
And that the Israelis are going to agree to this in a 6-hour time.
But hey, Iran was talking reckless. One day they like, oh, they was like, oh, well, we'll attack U.S. bases. Trump like, what? What you say? They woke up. They woke up and them nuclear facilities got hit up. And they had to understand. There's people in America you don't want to play around with. You know what I'm saying? There are people that stand on business. And I think that Trump is one of these people that stand on business. And he showed the world, hey, we ain't afraid of no conflict. We can come over there. We can bring them stealth bombers in there. And, hey, it can get real. You know? And he went over there and they start bombing him. And the next thing you know, we get a ceasefire. So I don't know. Shout out. I was kind of worried because Shamar, what's that dude named? Shamar was going at Iran. Like trying to get out. I'm like, are we about to get hit up because of Shamar? It's going crazy. You know? Hey, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, right? So I'm in Tennessee. Do you know in Tennessee, they are like moving around tanks? Like, go on TikTok. Like, they getting ready for something in Tennessee. There's tanks being like shipped around. I'm like, what's this? You know what I mean? Like, do I need to go to Europe real quick? I'm like, what's up with this? No. You know, but they moving around tanks. It's like Tennessee preparing for something. So, you know, I'm glad that this is going down with this ceasefire. You know, the Shamar thing, man, they was joking. You know what I mean? He ended up falling for it. They photoshopped that Iran military response, you know, and they kind of took that on social media and ran with it. But I don't know, man. Let's listen to her, man.
Time frame. Now, what happens between now and the 6 hours? I expect a lot of kinetic action inside Iran from the Israelis, but that's what it looks like. And then the details that the president laid out about how it follows over the next 24, 48 hours, we don't know what that picture looks like or whether it leads to negotiations.
Well, what was stunning is that just in the last several hours, the supreme leader put out a statement saying, we will not submit. We'll never submit. So
yeah, I know. Like, did they say that? Like, we will not submit. We will never submit. And then all of a sudden now they submitting.
Something was changing in that interim time period. And I guess he was made an offer he couldn't refuse.
Maybe so. We don't know. The supreme leader is supposed to be holed up in a bunker. That the going thing in Iran, we're told, is that everyone...
Oh, the supreme leader is held up in a bunker. Oh, okay. So they know it's getting real. Hey, you come after the United States, better hide. You better hide.
Doesn't know where he is except the Israelis and the U.S. And they have said that they could take him out at any time. I don't know.
You hear that? Even though he hiding up in a bunker, he said that take him out at any time. Yo. Hey, war gets real, bro. I don't care how many, like, they want to, no. War gets real, and United States gets into play, I don't care if you in a bunker, we know where you at. You know?
Has transpired that changed the Iranians' bold action, other than...
He said he'd been hiding for a week. That's the crazy part, man. These world leaders, they hiding in bunkers. Like, this is insane, man.
Just to read the tea leaves here, they gave a pre-warning about the missile strike on Qatar and Al Udeid Air Base, saying this is going to happen. Get your people out of there. And then the
Awkward said that they haven't even landed a single middle. I think you meant missile in the U.S. Like, I didn't say they did. What you talking about?
air defenses took down those missiles, including one from Qatar. And I think that the president's very weak response.
All right, so this somebody said, besides the government, why are the American people mad? Iran doesn't done anything to us. I'm not mad at them at all. Like, I don't think that we should have got involved in a conflict between Israel. Like, the part that got me, like, when they said in Iran we will attack U.S. bases, I'm like, hold up, bro. Y'all kind of talking a little bit too much. You know what I mean? Like, you can, and I get it. They're in conflict. Like, they're losing people. Israel's losing people, and then we getting in the middle of stuff. Like, I can get how they can get mad, but when they start talking that we can attack U.S. bases, no, bro. Send them stealth bombers in there. Teach them a lesson real quick. Trump not playing with them. Shout out to Trump. No, but we not mad at them. Like, we want peace. The people in America want peace, bro. We don't want no wars, because wars is going to cost more taxation. We don't want that. We want to be able to travel. We don't want, like, travel bans and all of this craziness going on. Like, no, like, we cool on that.
Post and let's get to peace. Started phone calls between all of the parties, according to the vice president. And in between the time he left the White House and the time he arrived on this set, something had transpired to get that Truth Social post.
And the president even thanked Iran for the heads up, as you noted with Vance, which it all seemed like it was missile theater at some point. They gave them a chance to save face, shoot up a couple of, what looked like Roman candles, and they were missiles, but and no damage was done as far as we understand on the ground. So you wonder why they even went through that exercise, but nevertheless, the president didn't choose to humiliate Iran in this moment, which I think that's classic Trump. He wants to give people a way out.
He did say, let's get to peace, let's get to the table. He called it very weak and thanked them for the heads up. But, it follows a pattern. In 2020, the Iranians did the same thing. They fired on a U.S. military base in Iraq, but they also gave a heads up ahead of time. That was after the Soleimani assassination, the takedown of the main military commander for Iran by the U.S., and so it follows a pattern. We'll see if this also follows a ceasefire, because as you know, the Israelis feel like they have a lot of superiority in the skies and they can take out targets at will, and they're on the cusp of making a big change to their existential threat. So it may be tough for them to agree to it, but I think the president is pushing.
And Brett, although people don't want to be political in this moment, politics always enters the equation. We had an enormous amount of kind of nastiness across the political aisle over the last few days regarding the president's decision. So some Democrats were more, tepid about it, but others were basically very, very negative on what the president was doing. How do you see this moment playing out politically?
I mean, John Fetterman was the only Democrat I saw very vocal.
What do y'all think about this? Like, how do y'all think? I'm looking at the comment section. How do y'all think this is going to play out politically? I think people are going to, they're going to try to use against Trump that he bombed Iran, right? I think that's what's going on with Respect VI. I think they're going to do that. But, I mean, he was able if he was able to have them reach an agreement that fast, that's amazing. Y'all got to understand how deep this beef between Iran and Israel is, and this is like, this is like religion involved in this. So it's very interesting for him, and people who are religious, they will lose their life for their religion gladly, thinking that they got a whole other life after this, so for them to be able to come to some sort of agreement that fast is remarkable. So it's negative and then it's positives at the end of the day, man. I'm just glad that we can get some sort of peace.
In his support of the action. Others were either tepid or saying it was unconstitutional and he had to come to Congress first.
Carlos said this is rich people problems, not citizens.
I think a lot of those Democrats, if you look back at President Obama's actions in Lebanon, in Syria, they were not anywhere near as vocal about the congressional authorization issue back then. Politically, I think it plays pretty well. He's kept his party largely together. There are some vocal voices.
Yo, TikTok got me cracking up about. Let me show y'all this, bro. TikTok got me cracking up, man. Hold up. This lady, she said, she said they sent me to Iran. Hold up. She is crazy. Hold up, look.
I can't believe they got me out here in Iran. I should have fucking ran. Oh, Lord, help me, Jesus. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. Operation initiated. Don't initiate it. Don't initiate it. I'm not coming, huh? Oh, please let me get out of this. I've never saw my food stamps again. Okay, good, because I don't know what the fuck I was just shooting at. Then I was saying, I don't even know why they brought me out here. You know what I'm saying? They were telling me I gotta wear my boots. No, I got my Crocs on, and I'll be fine now. I'm faster than everybody. I got them in sports mode. You know what? It's still the daytime. And what? Who's shooting at?
She said it's still the daytime, bro. Like, what? Hold on.
You know what? It's still the daytime. And what? Who's shooting?
She trying to shoot. She is crazy, bro. Hold on.
I got him in sports mode. You know what? It's still the daytime. And what? Who's shooting at me? I'm on my lunch break. You think I have bomb people all fucking day? That's all y'all want to do is just throw bombs all day. Just relax. Who is?
Yo, she just throw a grenade? Like, what is she doing, bruh?
All fucking day. That's all y'all want to do is just throw bombs all day. Just relax. Who is? Red, white, and blue, bitch. I ain't going nowhere. This is ridiculous. My baby daddy called y'all, tell him I'm in Iran. I don't know what he don't understand. I text him Iran. He thinking I ran away. Bitch, it's your weekend. You supposed to have the kid any fucking way. And then they got me out here on the old ass showing my motherfucking talking about
As you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, Tom Massey, but fairly small in number and in voice. And I think it really depends how the ceasefire works out and what comes next.
Brett, thank you very much. That was an unbelievable.
What happened with Iran in the Middle East, and some breaking news coming just now. Joining us this evening,
bro.
Vice President J.D. Vance. Mr. Vice President, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thank
Just seconds ago, the president went to Truth Social and
Hold on. Shabar and Iran going at it. Hold on. What?
me. And I say what I say.
All right, so so there's like a Iran Twitter, like Iran military Twitter, right? And somebody had photoshopped this to make it look like Iran was responding to Shamar, because Shamar had said something about Iran earlier, right? And the Iran tweet says the individual who goes by the name of Shamar is who will cause the entirety of the United States of America to feel it, right? And then he really thinks Iran is responding to him, bro.
Y'all ass over there. That's why I gotta walk with that. Like, we ran. And let me tell y'all this too. I ran.
He think Iran really coming for him, bro.
I'm talking directly to y'all.
All that crap that y'all doing.
Y'all
Like
crazy.
this. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. Complete and total ceasefire is what he typed.
Yep.
What does that mean? How did it come about? What's the development?
Yeah. Well, we were actually working on that just as I left the White House to come over here. So that's good news that the president was able to get that across the finish line. I think what it means, Brett, is quite simple. First of all, the president, without, knock on wood, having a single American casualty, obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. We are now in a place where we weren't a week ago. A week ago, Iran was very close to having a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran is incapable of building a nuclear weapon.
Hold on, dude. Can we watch that again, bro? Because this is like cracking me up, bro. No, she did not, bro. We gonna get to the Brett Bear, and she is.
I can't believe they got me out here in Iran. I should have fucking ran. Oh, Lord, help me, Jesus. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. Don't initiate it. Don't initiate it. I'm not coming, huh? Oh, please let me get out of this. I never saw my food stamps like this. Okay, good, because I don't know what the fuck I was just shooting at. And then I was saying, I don't even know why they brought me out here. You know what I'm saying? They were telling me I gotta wear my boots. No, I got my Crocs on, and I'll be fine now. I'm faster than everybody in these bitches. I got them in sports mode. You know what? It's still the daytime. And what? Who's shooting at me? I'm on my lunch break. You think I have bomb people all fucking day? That's all y'all want to do is just throw bombs all day, just relax. Who is, Once I keep red, white, and blue, bitch, I ain't going nowhere. This is ridiculous. My baby daddy called, tell him I'm in Iran. I don't know, but he don't understand. I text him Iran. He thinking I ran away. Bitch, it's your weekend. You supposed to head the kid any fucking way. And then they got me out here in the old ass sewing my motherfucking talking about I can't wear my bonnet under my helmet. You not gonna sweat out my edges too? I ain't take my life.
Yeah, she is crazy, bro.
Weapon with the equipment they have because we destroyed it. So that's a very, very big thing. Now, what that means, I think, is we have to talk to Iran and, of course, to Israel about what the future holds.
No, but imagine being Iran, though, right? So you got your own country, right? This is your country. And you got people telling you what you can and can't do in your country from other countries like America and Israel. Like, you can't have no nuclear weapon. Like, how you gonna tell me I can't have no nuclear weapon and this is my country? Is you crazy? I could do what I want to do in my country. Like, it's if you look at I mean, I'm with America, you know what I'm saying? I'm riding with America, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But that is, like, when you think about that, though, like, how are y'all going to tell me what to do? Like, if I want a nuclear facility, it's, like, it's Iran. You can't tell me what to do, bruh. Y'all not Iran? So that's the crazy part about it. You know what I mean? But I'm riding with Trump on this. You know what I mean? Y'all can't have no nuclear weapons. Y'all a little bit too crazy, you know?
While we have obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, our hope and our expectation is that they're not going to try to rebuild that program. And I think that's what the president is really trying to figure out here, is to build a long-term settlement here to where we can have peace in the region, where our regional allies and, of course, the American people, most importantly, can be secured, but where we can ensure that the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program that has already happened is not something they try to rebuild.
I want to get to the obliterated part in just a minute, but I just want to read this fully so I get the context here. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by...
Blaine said we treating Iran like Black America. No, it's just crazy. Like, just imagine, like, Iran telling America, y'all can't have nuclear weapons. We'd be in America like, who is y'all think y'all is? We could do what we want. Like, so the flip side of it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, they feel like they're entitled to do whatever they want to do. But that's the insane part. Like, when you have countries and other countries telling you what to do, that's insane. Like, Israel, who do you think you are? Not in how you, like, what's your problem? Shout out to Respect VA. You know what I'm saying? Member for 4 months. Clap it up for Respect VA. Said, we still can't trust them. We need to stop helping other countries, period. I can't trust Benjamin Netanyahu. I can't trust Iran, but I really can't trust nothing. I can't trust Israel, bro. Shout out to everybody in Israel. This ain't like no negative, you know what I'm saying? It's just that the dude that's running Israel now, Netanyahu, I can't trust that dude, bro. I think he's a bully. And the only reason why he's a bully is he got America protecting him. If we wasn't protecting him, he would not be acting crazy like that. You know?
Between Israel and Iran, that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions for 12 hours, at which point, the ceasefire for 12 hours,
Sure.
At which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran.
What y'all think about J.D. Vance? I think he's going to be our next president of the United States. Like, they got him, like, in line to be the president, bro. Like, the way everything is moving for him, like, he'll be doing, like, he'd be standing up at the podium, giving speeches to the United Nations, doing all this stuff. Like, bro, he's going to be the next president. He don't let things bother him. Like, when Elon Musk was trolling him and all of that, like, he ain't let that bother him.
Iran, God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America. And God bless the world. He seems confident that this is all coming together.
That's right.
And when you left the White House, were you thinking this was all gelling here?
When I left the White House, I thought that we might be able to get it across the finish line before this broadcast, and it looks like the president has been able to do that. I mean, look, he's been working the phones constantly. Frankly, before the 12-day war started, but certainly over the past 12 days, the president's been extremely...
You think J.D. Vance is stupid? Are you crazy? How is he stupid? J.D. Vance is very smart. Like, and then if you, like, they got like a whole Netflix, it's like a movie on him. Like, he grew up, I thought I grew up crazy. He grew up crazy. Like, for him to become the vice president of the United States, going through what he went through when he was younger, it's an amazing story. You know? Shout out to J.D. Vance.
Clear about America's national objective here. It is to create a world where Iran cannot build a nuclear weapon. We, of course, destroyed the nuclear program that they had, and the president told the entire team, we're going to work to make sure that they don't try to rebuild that nuclear capability in the future. And look, this is a great thing.
I like that. And then, like, when J.D. Vance pressed Zelensky at the Oval, you know what I mean? Like, whatever that was in the White House, bruh. He checked Zelensky and Trump backed him up. I'm like, oh, we got a team right here. We got a team right here. Zelensky ain't know what to do. Like, I love that, bro. You know what I mean?
For Israel, think about this. They've accomplished an important military objective. They've helped us destroy the Iranian nuclear program. They've also destroyed the conventional missile capability of Iran.
Exactly. Jeanette Vaughn said Vance grew up poor and brought himself out of it. Yeah, like if anybody can understand the plight of the have-nots in America, it's him. You know what I mean? Kamala Harris, y'all think she understand what it's like being poor? No. That lady, we don't know nothing about her. And other than she grew up her mom was a business owner. She grew up in a small town. Other than that, like, when you go and you do the research on Kamala Harris, you're like, wait a minute, she done went to college in Canada? She spent her formative years in Canada? Like, who is this lady? Then you find out she was dating Montel Williams, and it's like all this stuff about her. You're like, who is she? And she's business as usual, anti-freedom of speech. You know, her and Hillary Clinton having, like, remember we were reacting to all of that, like, in October? where she was saying that Twitter needs to be regulated and have more government control. Freedom of speech is a problem. She said that, and Hillary Clinton said that, and John Kerry had a whole seminar speech talking about the problems of free speech on the internet because the government can't get their message out through it. Like, she's a problem. Like, no, she's more of the same. He understands. Like, another thing, right? When Biden was in office, remember North Carolina when they was going through that whole the hurricane storm situation, right? And shout out to the governor of Florida. I think he handled that perfectly. But in North Carolina, that whole messed up situation, Biden didn't care. When they took power, JD Vance went to North Carolina, putting them people up in furnished apartments. He understands. You know what I mean? Like, even when, like, in California, when them people's, like, homes and the Palisades and all that, and it started spreading out to everybody else, the homes was, like, catching fire, all of that was going on. The mayor ain't know what to do. The governor, he didn't care about what was going on. He left that mayor out to dry. Trump went over there and handled business. Turn the water on. You know what I mean? And he was like backing everything he did. Like, I don't know, man. I rock with JD Vance.
And that threatened the country of Israel. For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace. As I said yesterday, what the Iranians have showed through their support of terror networks, through their now failed effort to build a nuclear weapon, is that they're just not very good at war. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce
Yo, you heard the diss? He said they're just not good at war. Whew. Iranians are just not good at war. Hey, when you gotta turn it up, hey, America, we know how to get down. World War II, World War I. Hey, don't play with us. We've been through it. Nagasaki, Hiroshima, they had to, you know what I mean? They had to understand what was up. Battle of Midway. Hey, we don't play that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know how to handle war. Iranians don't know war like we know war.
Long-term peace for the region. That's always been his goal. I actually think when we look back, we will say the 12-day war was an important reset moment for the entire region.
Y'all understand? We just lived through this. Hey, all the wars that have been going on like throughout history in America. Hey, Thug Life, we just lived through a war. The United States engaged in a situation with Iran. Bro, when we get old, oh Lord, we gonna have stories to tell. I'm gonna be like, I remember when that went down. I was live on YouTube. I was talking to everybody. It was lit. Yeah, Iran, you're gonna be talking to your grandkids. Yeah, Iran was talking reckless. And Trump, because they're gonna be learning about Trump, be like, yeah, we had a president, his name was Trump. Trump wasn't playing that. Iran was talking reckless. Trump sent them bombers in there, and we had peace the very next 2 days. Watch when y'all talk to y'all grandkids about this. Shout out to Keeps a AG with the $2 donation. He says, what's with the no ceasefire rumors, real or not?
Surprised if Iran is sending out signals that
No, they talking about ceasefire, bro.
Doesn't have a specific ceasefire plan. How would the communication have been with the Iranians to get this level of confidence to put out that detailed statement?
Well, one of the things I've learned, Brett, about the Iranians in the past, 4 or 5 months that I've been in this job is what they say publicly and privately can sometimes be very different. I think what the Iranians have shown very clearly is they don't want this war to go on for much longer. Their air defenses have been totally destroyed. Their conventional missile program.
You hear what he's saying, dog? Their air defenses have been destroyed. Talk to them, JD Vance. They not understanding it. Talk to them. They not ready for this. Their air defenses. Can you imagine if we start sending aircraft carriers over there, what would go down? And their air defense is destroyed? I watched Top Gun Maverick. Shout out to Tom Cruise. You know what I'm saying? When we went over there for that mission, it's lit. So can you imagine them not having any air defense? I don't know. That would be bad, bro. If we engage, let's just say they shot something over here and it hit New York City or Tennessee or something like that. And the American people are like, all right, it's time. Let's go to war. They would have a major problem. Bro, them bombers would be flying over there dropping bombs like crazy. The naval ships will be shooting them tomahawks out like crazy, bro. You don't want to mess with, I don't care what nobody says. You don't want to mess with America, bro. You don't. And we spend all that money on defense. No. They know. They like, we need some peace around here. Iran copping, please. You know? I mean, it's you know, they all agreed to a ceasefire. I think Iran copping, please up in here, and they don't want no American smoke. That's what I think.
Has been largely destroyed.
They weren't worried about Israel because the dome, like, what do they call that? The missile dome or whatever that they got. And Israel, hey, that wasn't working. They start raining down all those missiles in Israel, the Iron Dome, and they was going through. You know, so, and then I think Israel started to, you know, they started to see like they running out of artillery. So I don't know, man. Like, they weren't worried about Israel. Like, but when we got involved and they woke up and them nuclear facilities got hit, they like, nah, let's stop this right now.
And of course, their nuclear.
But when he's saying things like, he's low key telling you what's going on. That's why I like JD Vance. He's like, yo, their air support, it ain't good. It ain't looking good now. You know, so it's like they understand militarily what's going on with Iran that's making them want to, like, have peace now.
Program has been obliterated, as I said before. So I think the Iranians are in a place where they don't want to keep on fighting. You saw the president, and I don't have the truth in front of me, but he talked about the next 6 hours, finalizing the attacks. I mean, I think what he's talking about is right now, for the American people watching, it's dark over there. That's typically when the Israelis and the Iranians have been shooting at each other. I think there's some recognition that might continue for another few hours, and tomorrow really is a new day. The end of the 12-day war, the end of the Iranian nuclear program, and I really do believe the beginning of something very big for peace in the Middle East.
So you said totally obliterated. The president has said totally obliterated the Iran nuclear program.
Yeah. Look, like, listen. This is going to take 6 hours. They're still going to be firing and doing all of that stuff. It takes 6 hours for this all to go through. Knox vacancy with the $2 donation. He said Trump lost Hormuz plus nukes. You are copying Iran, W. Nah.
Do you
I don't know
know
about
for
that.
sure where all the highly enriched uranium is?
Well, Brett, I think that's actually not the question before us. The question before us is, can Iran enrich the uranium to a weapons-grade level, and can they convert that fuel to a nuclear weapon? And we know, based on the success of our mission, of course, the leadership of the president, but the incredible skill of our military, that the two mission objectives are completely successful. We know that they cannot build a nuclear weapon. Now, you asked about the highly enriched uranium.
Yeah, like 900 pounds of it.
But what we know, Brett, is that uranium is something that exists in very large supply. Our goal was to bury the uranium, and I do think the uranium is buried, but our goal was to eliminate the enrichment and eliminate their ability to convert that enriched fuel into a nuclear weapon. I think that's an important point, Brett, because so many of the folks who have focused on the highly...
Somebody said that JD Vance is dumb. He don't sound dumb to me. Sounds very smart.
enriched uranium.
Sure,
the
60%.
main focus, Brett, has been to destroy their enrichment capacity because we don't want that 60% uranium to become 90% uranium. That's the real concern, and that's what was so successful about our mission.
So after all this, if the Iranian government survives as is, what's to stop it from rebuilding over time if they in fact move the 60% highly enriched uranium? You know, that's the concern.
No, the big concern, Brett, and this is again what we destroyed, is their ability to enrich uranium.
Yo, so the Iran population, they got 90.6 million people as of 2020. Hold on, let me see 2025. What is their population? 92 million. Okay. So they got 92 million people over there.
Uranium. If they have 60% enriched uranium, but they don't have the ability to enrich it to 90%, and further, they don't have the ability to convert that to a nuclear weapon, that is mission success. That is the obliteration of their nuclear program, which is why the president, I think, rightly is using that term. But here's the question. If Iran is desperate to build a nuclear weapon in the future, then they're going to have to deal with a very, very powerful American.
So they got actively 610,000 military personnel active, and they've got 350,000 in Iran on reserve. So they really cannot afford like a war like that, like, to be real, especially not with us. Like, they gotta like come up with some peace or something.
Military again. Our hope is that the lesson that the Iranians have learned here is, look, we can fly.
And we seen Vladimir Putin like doing this speech, like trying, you know what I mean, having like little meetings or whatever, trying to talk about it, like the potential of them getting involved and all of that. Like they're busy with Ukraine. Like, we weren't worried about them. But see, Israel, this is the thing. So Israel, their military has got 170,000 active, and then they've got 465,000 in reserve. So they don't really have the people like Israel to be doing this, like in the military. They're relying on us. This is what I don't like, man. It's not how you do. I don't like him, bro. I don't like this dude, bro, because he's going to drag us into it. So in the United States, this is the number. So the military includes 2,075,619 military personnel and 788,470 civilians as of March 2025. You know what I mean? So active personnel, military personnel, 2 million. Hey, Iran probably looking at them numbers like, we need some peace up in here.
A bunker buster bomb from Missouri to Iran, completely undetected without landing once on the ground, and we can destroy whatever nuclear capacity you build up. I think that lesson is what's going to teach them not to rebuild.
Bruh, in America, how many people y'all think is in America right now? 347,275,807 people in America, dog. No, I am so glad I am born here. Wait a minute. I love America. Not to mention, it's probably like 50 million undocumented people up in here, you know? So they really don't want no problems with us, bro. It's what it is.
The nuclear capacity.
Yesterday, were you speaking on the president's behalf when you said he was not interested in regime change?
Well, Brett, what I've said is the American military, that is not our mission as regime change. Our mission was to destroy the nuclear facilities and the nuclear program of Iran, which we, of course, did. I think what the president's also said is that the Iranian people want to make a decision about regime change. That's between the Iranian people and the regime. Of course, we support freedom fighters all around the world, but our mission was to destroy the nuclear facilities, and that's what we did.
So you don't think there's any mixed message?
Another thing, right? So you got to look at the world perspective. How is the world going to view Iran, America, and Israel? Look at our media. We've got a lot of media that reaches far and wide, right? Europe can control the media. You can control the media, you control the public and people's interpretation of what's going on. Iran is like this. They got controlled media, you know, all of that stuff. Like, so they're really going to look crazy on a world stage. So there's no way really they can win this. Even though Israel is starting this mess, right? There's no way like Iran will come out looking clean. So if you're the supreme leader, you hiding up in a bunker, you thinking about all this, like, no, this bunker is a little bit too cold. Ain't no central air in here. You know, I can't go out to eat. Let's call Trump and figure out a way to do a ceasefire.
He goes to Truth Social and says it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? Miga.
Well, I think what the president is saying very clearly, Brett, is if the Iranian people want to do something about their own leadership, that's up to the Iranian people. What the American national security interest here is very simple. It's to destroy the nuclear program. That's what we've done. And now that the 12-day war appears to be effectively over, we have an opportunity, I think, to restart a real peace process. And Brett, this is not just about two countries, Iran and Israel. All of these Gulf Arab states, they want peace, they want to invest, they want to build artificial intelligence hardware, they want to sort of come into the new economy, and that was impossible when you had Iran that was, as the president said, acting like a bully across the Middle East. We really think that if the Iranians are smart about the path forward, this could be a new dawn of an economic age of prosperity, of course, for our Gulf Arab allies, for us, for the Israelis, for everybody, but it's going to require the Iranians play it smart from here.
The president called it very weak, the Iran missile firing on the U.S. base in Qatar, Al Udeid. Was it a face-saving move? How do you get from that, firing missiles at a U.S. base, to a ceasefire, as he details in this Truth Social?
Well, as the president said, they actually gave us some warning here. And we think they gave us some warning because they didn't want to kill Americans and they didn't want to escalate. There's definitely some symbolism to this.
Y'all know how important you are being in America? Like, they come over here dropping bombs. Hey, they know that's it. Iran's going to be taken over. Like the way he said it, he was like, they know if they don't want to kill Americans. Like, they know. Like, hey. Like, it's a lot of value on Americans, bro.
Spread. If you look at the Iranian attack, it was 14 missiles that they telegraphed ahead of time. We dropped 14 bunker buster bombs. As the president told me earlier, our missiles, our bombs were a little bit bigger than their bombs. Our bombs actually accomplished the goal of eliminating their nuclear program. But look, we're happy, again, to restart the peace process as the president just did today.
Was the message delivered?
Our bombs are a little bit bigger than their bombs. I love how he said that. Shout out to JD Vance, man.
Directly to the U.S. or through an emissary?
The message is always delivered through some sort of intermediary. That's been consistently true of the Iranians. Of course, we'd love to talk to them. The president's been clear about this. We'd love to have a direct conversation about how we move this thing forward because, again, we have to step back here. Why did the president do what he did over the past week? It's so that we can destroy their nuclear program. If they try to rebuild it, they're going to be on the wrong end of American power once again. We don't want that. I think they don't want that, but the ball's in their hands.
You've been reluctant or at least cautious about getting engaged previously, and that has been public. What made you sign on to this action this time?
Well, I think the president has been very clear, and I've always agreed with the president that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And you try to run the diplomatic process as much as you possibly can. When the president decided that wasn't going to work, he took the action that he had to take. Now we're in a new phase. That action was successful. We had a wildly successful military operation to take out their nuclear program. Now let's go on to the next phase. And I think the president, look, sometimes he's willing to use peace. Sometimes he's willing to use the military. I think it really depends on what the Iranians...
Like, all right, so people like... The world powers, right, are gonna like the Vladimir Putin's, like people like that, right? They're gonna be looking at Trump like, hey man, like this dude will hit that button and send stealth bombers. We can't really get too reckless with this guy. He is a president. You know what I mean? Like, hey. When Biden was president, everybody was feeling comfortable talking crazy about America. Oh, they got a woman as the vice president. Man, we don't need, like, talking reckless. Because, you know, they be misogynistic and acting crazy, like, about, like, stuff like that, like women being in power. So they've been looking at us like we're weak, right? Trump came up in there. They threatened us one time. Drop them bombs, bro. This is a president. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Trump. Shout out to Trump.
Do from here.
And what do you think they do from here?
Well, it's an open question, Brett. I don't want to predict what the other side will do, but I think that I know what we'll do if they continue to pursue a nuclear weapon, and I hope they don't choose that path because I know the president wants to see the Middle East become peaceful and prosperous in the future. That's not going to happen if Iran pursues a nuclear weapon again.
And for the people, so we talked about the people who believe that this is going towards World War III, especially in your own party. There's a section that's very vocal. There's another section that says you should take out this regime because it's evil and horrible and has done horrible things for decades. How do you square those two sides? And can this regime stay in place and still have a peaceful, reaction relationship with the U.S.?
Well, I think the president has squared those two sides quite well. One, because he's the leader of the movement, and a lot of people trust the president as they should. They recognize they're not seeing the same intelligence. They're not seeing the same classified documents. They trust the president to do a good job. But importantly, Brett, I think he's threaded the needle quite well here. We had a very...
Hold on, I want to hear what this Iran ambassador's got to say about all of this.
For 40 years, the Iranian government has called for...
But this is like,
death
yesterday
to
or something.
Last evening, U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's foremost state sponsor of terror. Any Iranian attack, direct or indirect, against Americans or American bases will be met with devastating retaliation.
Oh! The UN ambassador is talking reckless! Yeah, any attack on Americans will be met with devastating. Hey, talk to these people. They don't understand. America, we get down. We don't play. Don't play with us.
The timing, nature, and the scale of Iran's proportionate response will be decided by its armed forces. Throughout history, the resilient and united Iranian nation has withstood deeper wounded and faced more vicious enemies, and this time too. It will show its dignity, strength, and greatness to the world.
Make no mistake, the cost of
Israel ambassador about to talk.
inaction would have been catastrophic. A nuclear Iran would have been a death sentence just as much for you as it would have been for us.
This is a pivotal moment for the region. A further spiral of conflict poses
I love the way they talk. Like, this is a pivotal moment of our region.
This is a pivotal moment for the region. A further spiral of conflict poses serious risks to regional and international peace and stability. Our foremost priority must now be to support de-escalation.
I love how she said that, the ambassador of the United Kingdom. Let's hear the American ambassador talk reckless again. I like that.
Last evening, U.S. military strikes targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, with the aim of dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and stopping the nuclear threat posed by the world's foremost state sponsor of terror. Any Iranian attack, direct or indirect, against Americans or American bases will be met with devastating retaliation.
Will be met with devastating retaliation. Shout out to her, bruh.
Particular objective. It was
I like
profound and difficult to accomplish.
Do you
The
think they were
elimination
close?
of the Iranian nuclear
Do you
program,
think they were
and I
close?
think the president successfully did that. You're asking, were the Iranians close to a nuclear weapon? Brett, they were very close to a nuclear weapon. And what I encourage my fellow Americans to think about here is that a week ago, the Iranians were quite close to achieving a nuclear weapon. Now, they cannot build a nuclear weapon. That is the biggest testament to the president's leadership and to the success of our mission. In 1 week, Without, thank God so far, not losing a single American casualty, we have taken what was a threatening nuclear program that could have destabilized the entire world. Now that program is gone. We did it through effective...
Wow. Powerful.
Presidential leadership.
He did all of this without one American life being lost.
And also some very, very competent work from our troops.
How often does it happen where you're going to do an interview and you get a Truth Social seconds before? You have some sense of it, but it's pretty detailed. Where you
But Brett Barry, you know he knows what's going down. He's the vice president.
Being asked about something the president has just put out.
In this administration, Brett, it happens quite a bit, actually, but we knew this was coming. The draft, it was interesting. I just read the draft about 2 minutes before we went on the air. It was a little bit different from what the president had showed me a couple of hours ago. But again, I knew that he was working the phones as I was on the way over here. So I knew exactly what we were going to do. And look, I love that about this presidency and this administration is he's always working. He doesn't say, the vice president's going to do an interview, so I'm going to stop doing anything. He says, we're going to do the American people's business. The vice president knows what I'm trying to accomplish. And if I get it done, great, because we're going to talk about it and celebrate it, because it is a thing to celebrate. I can't emphasize this enough, Brett. We have destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. 0 Americans have died. That's an amazing, amazing thing. Americans, whether Democrats or Republicans, we should be celebrating that.
That's insane, bro. Hold on. We got to watch. Y'all know we got to watch this. Hold on real quick. Show y'all this.
I can feel how difficult it is for you to see.
We gotta hear what they talking about.
Of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill.
I think this is enough. Ain't they seen that? They like, yo, this crazy dude. Let's go ahead and throw that towel in real quick. When Trump hit that podium, like if we don't get peace, we gonna be attacking attacking y'all swiftly. They like, this is too much. This is getting real here. We already hiding in bunkers. Trump's at the podium. No. Battle over.
Well, there are many targets left, the president says, and if Iran doesn't play ball, the United States will attack them too. But the administration took great care yesterday to make clear that the US does not want a long war and that regime change is not the aim.
Is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. We don't want a regime change. We do not want to protract it.
This is why I wanted to play this, right? Because he's saying that a lot of people say, oh, well, America is just trying to push everything on, like trying to change everybody's regime and pull people's prime ministers. And, like that's not what they're doing. They just don't want that nuclear program to be operational, So, and he's saying we don't want regime change. We're not trying to do nothing like that. We just do not want y'all having a nuclear weapon.
This or build this out any more than it's already been built out. We want to end their nuclear program, and then we want to talk to the Iranians about a long-term settlement here.
This mission was not and has not been about regime change. The president authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program.
The president, though, is not quite so clear. He posted last night, it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why shouldn't there be a regime change? If the past 10 days shows anything, it's that any claim to understand Donald Trump's strategy based on these breadcrumbs is purely speculative. Only Trump knows his next move, and he likes it that way. The problem for those who are still soul-searching of whether to back him on striking Iran is that so is the damage the attacks have done. We don't yet know if Iran's nuclear facilities...
What's up, Sugar Black?
...totally obliterated, as President Trump said. We don't yet know if Iran's massive stockpile of enriched uranium was wiped out in the US attack. Well, my view of the whole crisis is that too many people are basing their view of it on whether they're instinctively anti-Trump, anti-Israel, or anti-war. Two things can be true at the same time. You can support a precision strike on Iran's nuclear facilities without supporting another long conflict in the Middle East. You can oppose Western involvement without supporting the Ayatollah. And you can support Israel's position against a nuclear Iran while unequivocally condemning the suffering it's now inflicting on it. How successful do you think, first, the Israeli strike on Iran has been, because it's ongoing, and secondly, the intervention by President Trump with American strikes?
I know that there were words being thrown around yesterday like obliterated, so on and so forth. But I believe when General Kane says partially destroyed at Fordow, I think that's really the best way to describe it. We don't have the bomb damage assessment yet. I think we need to wait for a technical assessment rather than a rhetorical assessment. So let's give it time. But I believe that General Kane is right when he says partially destroyed. There may be some reattacks when the bomb damage assessment comes back and says, this is how much we've taken out, and to take it out to your standards, to the military standards, we need to reattack this method. So I think the next time we're going to see planes in the air is either for a reattack or to respond to an Iranian attack on American forces, embassies, or bases in the region.
See, this is going to get bad, man.
Likely is it, you think, that Iran will respond by directly attacking American servicemen and women?
Oh, we've seen this before. When Qasem Soleimani was targeted, they sent 12 ballistic missiles into Al-Assad base. There were a significant number of casualties. Thank God there were no deaths. But it's a prideful nation. It's part of the axis of resistance. It needs to demonstrate that it will resist.
Somebody said they have rights too. Like, I understand what you're saying. Like, Iran people, you know, they have a right to nuclear proliferate, whatever they want to do. But no, they don't. Because we're in America, and it doesn't benefit us for them to have a nuclear weapon. So, no, they do not have any rights, you know, when it comes to that. But no, I know what you're saying. Like I said earlier, it is kind of crazy, like being a different country and other countries telling you what to do and attacking you because you want nuclear proliferation, do whatever you want to do. But it's at the same time, like, you know, you don't want these people that are not common sense driven to have like the ability to be able to destroy the world. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't think we.
So certainly our force protection,
especially when religion drives them, like, no.
Elements are in place, but I don't know. I would be very, very surprised if the Iranians don't attack either with their missiles, their militias, or through direct terrorist activities.
Anna Gasparin, your view of, well, the combined attacks, Israel and United States?
Well, I think Israel has been pushing for regime change in Iran. The claims that Iran was close to developing a nuclear weapon was false. Not only were they over a year away, according to Netanyahu himself, in being able to develop a nuclear weapon, they didn't even have a mechanism in order to deliver said nuclear weapon.
She don't know that. Like, keep in mind, she's with TYT, she's a Democrat. Keep that in mind. She don't know, like, whether or not they have the mean. Like, when was the last time she was in a war room or she knew what was going on? Knox with the $2 donation said, I worked for that department. Iran didn't have nukes. Yeah, they didn't have any nukes yet. You know what I mean? Like, they were working on enriching uranium. They were 60% at 60% or something like that. Like, they didn't want them to get any higher. Like, so no, they didn't have them yet. But like, in terms of not having the capacity or whatever, like, they don't know that. I don't believe anything Benjamin Netanyahu says. You know what I'm saying? So if he's saying they're a year away, he's probably lying. That's what my mind automatically goes to. He's just trying to stay in power. That's how I look at him. But as far as, you know, her, like, she don't know nothing. She just anti-Republican.
All about engaging in a regime change war. That's what this is. Anyone who's pretending like this is about nuclear weapons is lying to you. Again, the United States is forced to fight another war on behalf of Israel. And I just want to ask Conricus a question real quick, because I'm seeing a lot of videos of Israelis leaving Israel to go home to the United States or to Greece or to other European countries. You guys got what you wanted. You guys got your war. Are you expecting American troops to fight this war and die on your behalf? Or are you going to bring the Israelis back, tell them to put their fatigues on and get ready for a ground invasion? Because if they want regime change, they're going to need a ground invasion, and Americans shouldn't be forced to do it.
Well, I mean, we just had JD Vance say it's not looking for a regime change. Jonathan Hill with the 199 said they just brokered the ceasefire. I think that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, we talked about that. I'm just hearing like what Pierce Morgan and them are talking about.
We'll let Jonathan Conricus respond. All I would say in relation to your super confidence that Iran was not planning to weaponize its enriched uranium, what else could they possibly have been planning, given they took the enrichment process according to the Independent Atomic Energy Authority? They took their enrichment of uranium from the 3.5% required for civilian usage to 60% in the last few years. There is no other reason you would do that.
Yeah, I'm with Pierce Morgan on here. Like that, bro. You go from 3.5% to 60%, bro. You try to build a bomb, bro. Don't y'all think? What do you need 60% enriched uranium for? Like, no, you're trying to build something. Like, no. Yes, I understand it's your own country, but we tell you what to do. We're America. So I don't know, man.
If you weren't at the very least wanting people to believe that you were going to be weaponizing your uranium, otherwise, why do it?
Well, I mean, they were not enriching uranium under the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, which unfortunately Trump took the pressure from Netanyahu to pull out of in 2018, which essentially cleared the way for Iran to enrich uranium.
You see how she just like switching subjects? Well, they weren't enriching uranium because of this, and then and this date, and then she switches to a whole different topic. Like, lady, stay on top. You don't even know what you're talking about. Like, listen, this is what I'm talking about. Hold on, let me rewind her so you can see how she tries to start spinning it, and then she can't really get to where she's gonna go, and then she flips to something else.
In the last few years, there is no other reason you would do that. If you weren't at the very least wanting people to believe that you were going to be weaponizing your uranium, otherwise, why do it?
Well, I mean, they were not enriching uranium under the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, which unfortunately Trump took the pressure from Netanyahu to pull out of in 2018, which essentially cleared the way for Iran to enrich uranium. Now, yes, they enriched up to 60%. You need 90% in order to have the material necessary to build a nuclear weapon.
So, I mean, they got 60%, lady. You want them to get another 30%? Is something wrong with her? I'm trying to be as fair as I can. She's sounding like, yeah, the left wing here is sounding very interesting to me. You want these people to get to 90%? If they went from 3.5% to 60% like that, they can reach another 30%. So if nothing how you find, I don't believe nothing he's saying anyway. But if they finding out they got 60%, it's time to go in. Like, what is wrong with these people? What you mean she's right? How is she right? She has a very interesting brain, I would say. You know, like, they go from 3.5% to 60%, and you want them to keep enriching uranium?
Which, unfortunately, Trump took the pressure from Netanyahu.
I'm not going to calm down because she don't know what she's talking about. She is crazy, bro. No.
To pull out of in 2018, which essentially cleared the way for Iran to enrich uranium. Now, yes, they enriched up to 60%. You need 90% in order to have the material necessary to build a nuclear weapon. However, I think what Iran was doing, considering the fact that they're in a region of thugs in Israel who clearly have been announcing that they want regime change in Iran,
they could be at 86% and should be like, well, just leave them alone. Let them continue to enrich. I don't think they're going to get a weapon. Like, like her, like people like her, like, no, she is crazy, bro.
Wanted a deterrent. I think that's what they were doing. And as this war in Gaza, this genocide in Gaza continues, I think they wanted some form of a deterrent, much like Israel has with their over 90 nuclear weapons.
Exactly. I am Groot said she's stuck on it's Trump's fault.
That they don't acknowledge, of course. They're not part of the non-proliferation treaty, even though Iran was. Just really interesting comparisons there.
Okay, General Kimball, I know you have to leave us. Jonathan Conricus, I will come to you in one moment, but I just want to ask the General to respond to that. Is there a naivety by many on the left, you think, about Iran's intentions?
Yeah, thank you, Pierce Morgan. And you know, they say Pierce is left. Pierce has been more midline lately, and then a lot of times he swings to, you know, right wing. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I think he's starting to wisen up. And I think the left is a little bit naive when it comes to this situation.
With this enriched uranium, because...
And they got to 60% under Biden and all of that. Like, man, this is crazy, bro.
I opposed the Iraq War as a newspaper editor in the UK very vociferously. It cost me my job in the end, actually. But I think I was vindicated over time by subsequent events. But here I just looked at that independent atomic energy report and I thought, well, what else could they possibly be doing? If you enrich your uranium at that level and you have enough to build potentially 10 atomic bombs, I don't know what else Iran wanted the world to think it was doing.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Enough about 9 to 5.
I think we need to recognize that for the past 30 years, Prime Minister Netanyahu has been warning the world about the Iranian nuclear threat. What is different about today? Listen, the excuses and the rationale that was used are the same ones that could have been used 20 years ago. Fact remains, October 7th changed everything. The axis of resistance and the ring of fire was a deterrent to Israel ever since it was established. Hundreds of thousands of weapons, hundreds of thousands of missiles and warheads were aimed at Israel and could, as was said at Thermopylae, could blot out the sky and overwhelm any kind of air defense system that the Israelis had put up. Since October 7th, the Israelis have methodically taken away and torn away and destroyed most of that capability. Deterrence was off. This is a once-in-a-lifetime generation for the Israelis to attack, and every Israeli pilot for the past 30 years has wanted to be the first one in the cockpit to end that nuclear program. The fact that the Ring of Fire was destroyed.
Let's hear what the left has to say about this, the crazy left here.
The kind that would, in total ceasefire. A ceasefire has been, quote, fully agreed to by Israel and Iran. There will be a complete and total ceasefire 6 hours from now. Again, this just happened. I don't want to spring this on you. And we're trying to figure out exactly what it means. It's a rather lengthy post on Truth Social. Again, we had been reporting, Clarissa and I were just discussing, that there were warnings about strikes in Tehran. There have been strikes throughout the course of the day. What do you think this means?
Well, it follows exactly.
Somebody said this isn't left or right. It's about the Jews. Oh,
you know what I was saying. Trump is now clearly trying to transition from war maker to peacemaker. And he's used his considerable influence with Bibi Netanyahu. Let's remember the Israelis also did massive damage. I would argue the
Shout out to Kim, said, thank you for being a voice of reason and facts and reality. Shout out to you.
Israeli strikes were probably more significant in setting back the Iranian program than even the American strikes, because they got to 20 of the top scientists, 20 of the top military officials, degraded almost every facility, destroyed Iran's air defenses. So Israel feels...
Wait, are they riding with Trump on this? CNN? You hear how he talking?
It's like it can stop. Trump wants to move into a peacemaking role. He wants it to stop. The Iranians obviously have no... I mean, it's only good for them because they have not been able to really respond in any sense to Israel's pummeling attacks, because they don't have much capacity. But then the question becomes, what do those negotiations look like? The key stumbling block has been this.
Hey, Truth Keeper, are you talking about me? He said, you are a clout chaser. If you're talking about me, yes, I am.
Trump began the negotiations saying Iran could have some enrichment capacity, but it couldn't be the kind that could be weaponized. The Israeli position has been no, zero enrichment under any circumstances. The Iranian position has been we have to have the legal right to enrich, which is our
somebody has so Blood Muffin 123 said if the Jews' interests are met, the media will praise Trump. Ooh. Wow. Yeah, that's bruh. I'm gonna say that's a good comment right there. That's a good comment.
Right under the NPT. So that's where you have it. Israel and Iran were at complete loggerheads. The U.S. had a middle position. About 2 weeks ago, Trump moved to the Israeli position. So the question is, now that he wants to be a peacemaker, is there going to be any give there, or do the Iranians feel they're so weak they have no option but to concede to the Israeli position? That is going to be the heart of the negotiations once they begin.
Yeah, the incompatible red lines have.
All right, let's hear what my internet crush got to say about this. Let's hear her.
Yeah. Well, he is now claiming that I'm the lunatic because I don't.
Wait, she came out with this before Trump announced the ceasefire. So I want to hear. She's kind of been on Trump's heels. So she's been she's letting him know Americans do not want war. We do not want to be involved in this. And she's, she got a mind of her own. And sometimes she calls out things that I kind of been riding with her a little bit. You know what I mean? So, but I want to hear which her take is on some of this.
Think that American troops should go die for Israel. And so I want to make sure that I don't mince words here in terms of what I actually think about our involvement with Israel. So welcome back to Candace. I feel like we're watching a show. I really do believe that we're watching a show. I think the CIA thinks we're so stupid. Like I said before, 9/11, Generation 9/11, we've grown up and we know this script. We've seen this show and we know how it's going to end. And they just spent so much time gaslighting us. Like the moment that Matthew Crooks, the scrawny looking white boy from Pennsylvania, got on that.
What's his name? Gigs chat. Hey, shout out to you. He said, yo, Piper Boy went from battle rap to politics and killing it. Haven't seen you in years. 1,500 live viewers. Yeah, this video right here's got 260,000 views. The one we're on right now.
That roof and attempted to murder Donald Trump. Attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. Okay? And the deep state came out with a narrative that, he was somehow linked with Iran. That kid, Matthew Crooks, linked with Iran. I said, okay, we're going to war with Iran. That's it. You got to have the false flag. And they let you know that is the new enemy. And we said, no, calm down. They said, calm down, you conspiracy theorists. That's not true. War with Iran. And then when Bibi Netanyahu decided to strike Iran, that was it. It was over. Our troops are going to be involved immediately, we said. And they said, that is absolutely not false.
She did call this. She did. And I think the Hodge twins actually backed her up because they say turning, and giving Trump a hard time. So, MAGA is like, if you MAGA all the way. You're not going to, veer off. You're just going to support Trump, whatever he does. And she took the stance no, he needs to hear there's a different side of America that are right wing that do not agree with what's going on. And she has a big voice, right? And so she's been using it. And she's being attacked by the right. And that's when the Hodge twins kind of stepped in on Twitter. It was like, no, she's right about this. And then the Hodge twins kind of been on Israel's helmet on Twitter. You know what I mean? They don't people. Some of us don't want war, bro. All that does is make rich people richer. No, we don't want that. And then people lose their life that have to fight in wars. I'm like, no.
Not getting involved in that conflict. The favorite thing that they always say is Israel can defend itself. Israel can defend itself. It just never does. That's the only thing. It never does because it actually can't, which begs the question that if you're a nation and you can't defend yourself, are you even a nation? If you have to rely on the might of another nation, on the tax dollars of another nation, why do you even qualify as being a nation? If might makes right. That's a question that we can ask another day. Anyways, the point is, is that on Friday, we were told definitively by Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt that Trump was going to take this like 2-week pause. You know, everybody calm down, don't be crazy. We're going to be rational about this. Take a listen.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
This is a difficult job what Carolyn Leavitt is doing, right? She is delivering information to the masses about what's going on in the White House. The problem with this job is that you can say everything that they're telling you to say. You know, she knows things that should not be out into the public and what should be out into the public, right? To control the message. The problem is she could be set up, Carolyn Leavitt, to deliver a message and do her job, which she's supposed to do, but there could be an entirely different agenda that ends up playing out, and then she's going to be the person that they're going to come at later. Like, yo, didn't you say this? Didn't you say that? And then now she's got Candace Owens kind of like, you know what I mean, about to come at her. You know what I mean? Like, yo.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
So that's what we were told. And by the way, just for those of you that are in the chat saying that you can't hear, just hit refresh button on the YouTube and the audio should come in clearly for you. Anyways, that's what we were told on Friday. And then literally one day later, we bombed Iran. I'm not kidding. It was one day later.
I knew she was going to call it out, man. One day later, we bombed Iran right after that message. I knew she was going to say something like that, bro. Candace don't be playing.
Oh, everybody settle down. We're going to think. And this is directly from the president. And then we got this directly from the president on Truth Social. He wrote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iranian airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now is the time for peace." That's what I mean, obviously.
Yeah, Curtis Cannon said, of course, keep them guessing. You don't want to be 100% on what you know, Carolyn Leavitt, she can't get out there, the press secretary, and say, tomorrow at 5 p.m., we're going to start dropping. She can't do stuff like that. You know, they got to kind of like throw people off. So that's, you know, part of what she does.
That is usually, if I'm trying to achieve peace, dropping bombs on people is usually the way to go. It's like, you know, beat them to a pulp and then call for peace because that makes so much sense. That's ridiculous, obviously. And immediately MAGA began to revolt because what were all of these promises? No new wars, we said, right? No new wars was one of the early campaign promises dating back to 2015 when people jumped onto the Trump train. It was because there was this vision of the forgotten man. We're so tired of being involved in these never-ending wars, being told that we're spreading democracy, and then only to come back and find that our country is in a steep decline, okay? So we're immediately going, we've got whiplash because yesterday was Friday and you said you're going to take a little pause and think. And then the Israeli media starts reporting that Bibi Netanyahu got on the phone and was like, no, you know, there's a president. And then there's
Alyssa in the comment section said, you can call it what you want, but why the mission was so successful is because no one knew what was really happening. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right, Alyssa. You're right.
The ultra president, Bibi Netanyahu, we want you to hit him now. And so Trump did it. He hit him now. Now, again, that's according to reports in Israel. That's why he did it.
I think what Trump did is just real quick, just to let them see, hey, we can get involved, dog. Like, y'all chill out with enriching uranium. Y'all already at 60%. Like, chill. You know, don't threaten us. or it's going down. You know what I'm saying? And they, now they chilling out.
Committed this whiplash, okay? Trump then gives a speech about these strikes, and there was something that struck me about the speech. I want to see if you catch it. Take a listen to Trump addressing the nation.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective...
God, she is so fine, bro. Like, I can't. Shout out to Candace Owens. Lord. Somebody said Candace does show anti-Semitic learnings. Why did you say that?
Objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity.
Hey, Christian Medwig's in the chat. Chill out. He said Piper Boy only happy about no plastic straws. Yes. That's another thing that I'm excited that the president signed an executive order for, Federal government's not going to be subsidizing y'all plastic straws out here. Shout out to him.
And a stop to the nuclear threat.
I'm sorry, paper straws.
Posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace.
Yeah, exactly. She's not anti-Semitic. She's anti-Netanyahu. Like a lot of people. Because we see what he's been doing over the years. He's been controlling our commanders and chiefs. And we've been standing behind them, giving them boatloads of support and money. And he's just been going around the Middle East bullying everybody. So I don't rock with Netanyahu, so I don't blame her for that. I don't think she's anti-Semitic. I think she just don't like Benjamin Netanyahu.
Peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
And I'm not just saying that because she's fine. She knows what she's talking about.
For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States
magnificent machines
military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate.
Okay, so after giving this speech justifying the strikes, he then goes on and he says that he would like to thank and congratulate Bibi Netanyahu. That's who he thanked and congratulated first. What he was thanking him for, what he was congratulating him for. I'm still a little iffy on the details. If you've got something, please drop it into the chat, like why we're congratulating Bibi Netanyahu, what for getting us involved in another regional conflict. Who knows, maybe the beginning of World War III. Who knows? Why are we thanking and congratulating him? And then he goes on to thank the IDF. And then lastly, but most importantly, he gets around to the American troops who flew those planes. That's the lastly, but also most importantly. I feel like if they were the most important, you would have maybe thanked them before Bibi Netanyahu. And this really gets to the crux of the debate that we are having right now. Because why is MAGA divided? Because this is not what MAGA was supposed to be, okay? MAGA is not just whatever Trump says. Now, even if it completely conflicts with what Trump said yesterday, the divide is very clear that it is Israel first versus America first, okay? And the way that you know that we have been completely infiltrated as a movement.
Shout out to Kim, a subscriber said, how is anyone upset about this? THW is a subscriber said, most Americans do not know that. OT, a subscriber said, how can Israel justify continuing attacking if the sites are gone? Exactly. Well, I think they will have a very difficult time, like, justifying an ongoing attack. Goldie Blue is a subscriber said, they all working together.
By Israel firsters, okay, is because the literal Never Trump movement from 2015, the neocons, the warhawks who put their faces on the cover of whatever they need to put their faces on the cover of to say to Americans, I'm a conservative, but even I agree that it's better that Hillary Clinton is president rather than having Adolf Hitler, right? These were the conservatives, we call them neocons, who did everything they could, okay, to help get Hillary Clinton elected, because Hillary Clinton is a part of the war class family. We're not left and right anymore, okay? We are war hawks versus everybody else. The war hawks who benefit from nonstop wars. That's why we have the Bushes, the Clintons, the McCains, the McCain family being like chief neocon on the right, and everybody else who are looking around America.
Liz Cheney.
I'm going, okay, actually, everything is in decline. There's nothing that has gotten better since 9/11. This country is filled with criminality. We can't even get our streets paved, right? The cities all look dilapidated. Our taxes are going over. What's happening here? Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. She just said that.
And if you needed a marker of just how insane the class of warhawks are, I'm not kidding. I think these people are insane. They were elated by the Trump announcement. So let me make something very clear. Even if you are a person who believes that we need to get involved in the Middle East perpetually, forever, okay? Even if you're a person who goes, I believe the deep state propaganda and there is always an imminent threat in the Middle East, okay? You would not be cheering when bombs drop. That's something else, right? If I said, okay, well, we drop bombs, you'll go, yes, I'm so excited. Oh, I love you, baby. And this is not me acting. That is actually what Meghan McCain, John McCain's daughter, and her husband, Ben Dominic, did. They were tweeting, and they got so happy and elated that she tweeted to him that she loved him. This is a real tweet from when we're finding out that Iran's been bombed. Okay, can you pull up? So Ben Dominic, who's hated every bit of Trump in the MAGA movement, wrote, 4 years.
Meghan McCain said that?
Years ago, I was told to my face that my marriage had made me too neocon and anti-Trump. But today, those same people are bitching impotently. And I think this president effing rocks. So I spent all of this time hating Trump. I now think he rocks because he's dropping bombs. Yeah! And Meghan McCain gets so overwhelmed with excitement about these bombs being dropped, which have justified their Trump hatred because now Trump sees it their way. She tweets, love you, babe. Bombs are dropping. Love you, babe. I don't even know what's happening. We don't know if we're worthy, but like this is what we do because I mean, I'm a McCain, right? I know our trusting.
Yeah, McCains are crazy.
They're getting topped up if we go to war, and we're looking like we're going to war. Actually, if you do me a favor, Skylar, pull up the Never Trumpers.
Hey, save. What's your name? Savage. Save plays. Like, how is Candace Owens crazy? Like, how? Like, what did she say that was crazy?
It has like a Wikipedia page. We just go through these people.
Shout out to you, Javi. Craig Wilson, he's talking to somebody else. Kim said he's preventing nuclear war. Yeah.
Go try to find any one of them.
This is my problem with this whole nuclear war thing, right? If they have like enriched uranium and all of that, and they're dropping bombs on it, like, wouldn't that be like super devastating? You know, like, I don't know, man. That's interesting. I don't know. Because some people were trying to say they had nukes. I don't think they had nukes. I think they were on the way of enriching uranium enough to have nukes. Because if they had nukes and they would have just dropped bombs on them, that could have been That would have been insane.
Who were not in a state of elation when they learned that we were potentially being dragged into a war. There was not even like, this is a tough decision for the president, but like, you know, the right decision. It was like,
I'm gonna let y'all watch the rest of this, but I got to get out of here. Shout out to everybody. We got a lot of subscribers in here. I think we got like 300 subscribers. Alyssa said America does need to take a step back from foreign issues, worry about our issues that desperately need attention. But at the end of the day, the entire free world benefits Iran not having a nuclear weapon. Yeah, I think you're right. Christian Medwig said, Craig, I'm from Philly. The streets are horrible. Yeah, she did. She made an interesting point, y'all. She was just like, you know, basically we have a lot of problems here. Our roads, our infrastructure, but then we're going ahead and we're going to end up spending like millions and billions of dollars on a war when we got stuff going on around here. Our streets look a mess. That was an interesting take on it. You know what I mean? Shout out to her. But, you know, it's been a ceasefire. Trump has said it. And interestingly enough, CNN is riding with Trump on this. You know, but somebody made a comment in the comment section, a very, very interesting comment. They were just like, if you protecting, not hide you. Basically Jews, you know what I mean? Anybody who's doing that, they're going to get good press. And y'all know who runs the press. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting take that somebody said in the comment section. THW said if they were worried about oil prices, they would approve the pipeline from Alaska. Somebody said that's been our problem before we got into office the first time. Somebody said I'm from Camden. No war. But Biden is also a war hawk. Yeah, Biden is, I think. He's a proxy war hawk. Liberty said, if you doubted President Trump yesterday, learn from this. Okay. And then Paul said 30 years ago. And then Farrah said, Iran has nukes for years, as they were saying for more than 20 years, and yet Iran didn't nuke anybody. OT Winter said, does this mean Israel stops in Palestine? Alyssa said, hopefully we can get back to America First agenda now that this war is over. Interesting. All right, y'all, I gotta make some TikToks because I got a pretty decent following over there. But shout out to everybody that came in here spending time with me, whatever, so we could talk.